You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And today I'm becoming that villain. I'm the enemy of the state towards the Eagles franchise that I love and hold dear to my heart. But today I gotta evaluate it through the eyes of a stranger, of a commoner, because we're not getting friends today. What's up? It's your boy Cintron. Come back with another analysis / news video, and I kid you not, that's my real name. And we've been doing this enemy of the state series. And today I'm going to look at the Eagles franchise from a non-biased viewpoint and evaluate the moves that they did and that they made through negative light, just trying to, paint it with the eyes of someone who's evaluating fairly, and taking away the negatives from the moves as well. So trying to balance, approach it from a balanced standpoint, maybe giving you both the fair perspective and the negative perspective that it could go down that road. So anyways, let's get into it. So the NFC East 2023 free agency grades, Philadelphia Eagles edition. So let's look at what we did this offseason. I'm pretty sure I know it all, but let's just go with the guide. There it is, Harry Roseman. Look at that wizard. All right, players lost. Javon Hargrave. This is a big hole. The Eagles are not going to be able to replace that production. Let's be real. It doesn't matter if they draft Jalen Carter at number 10. It's not going to matter. Getting an immediate replacement for him is not going to be. It's not going to be had unless you go the free agency route or the trade route. And free agency, the best talent's already been plucked. Javon Hargrave being one that got pushed from us to the NFC runner-ups, the San Francisco 49ers. But Jeffrey Simmons could do a lot towards making up for that. I think Javon Hargrave is a superior talent, but Simmons is younger. But we're not going to want to extend him next year. So we wasted a trade in that you trade for a guy, and the next year he goes off into free agency. You get maybe a compensatory pick, but that's it. So you waste that draft capital for this year on a 1-year deal. Javon Hargrave is going to be the best option, and D tackles, they take a couple years to develop. Chris Jones came in, he didn't have an immediate impact. Fletcher Cox also took at least 2 years to develop. So it's not a position that pays immediate dividends by way of them having a extreme impact. They could, especially in a rotation, but you're asking a lot for them to come in and be a transformative guy for your unit. So we're going to be at a loss here. So that's an L for us and a win for the rest of the NFL, specifically the NFC division. They pulled out money out of their asshole on that shit. Who else do we lose? Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. We're not gonna have they're not gonna have a ball hawk back there in the Eagles defense. They'd have to get somebody like the Tennessee Titans guy, Kevin Byard. I love saying that shit. But he's gonna come with a $15 million tag. They have to pay him this season. They don't really have the cap space. They could do it, but feasibly speaking, the Eagles are not gonna do that. He has no guaranteed money left on his deal. They could cut him, wait for that, but that's most likely not going to happen. A restructure is more likely. But, he could have bad blood. There could be bad blood there, so he could be angry at the franchise, the Titans, but they're not going to work with us. They got fleeced, and the GM got fired for it with the A.J. Brown trade, so they're not going to want to be willing partners to their own destruction with dealing with, like I said, the wizard, the black magician, Howie Roseman. But Chauncey, he signed with the Lions on a 1-year deal, guaranteed, for $6.5 million, and on paper it's an $8 million deal. It's a loss for us that we didn't prioritize. They didn't prioritize him in free agency like they should have, and let him walk. The four-way tie co-leader of interceptions, by way of 6, and he still missed like 5 games. Excellent, guy back there for them. Very opportunistic, and they're not going to be able to replicate that. You could say that the corners play solidly. You don't need a guy like that back there, but they're gonna miss him by way of turnovers in the turnover margin. So that puts a damper on that secondary there. I mean, you like you said, you have two solid corners. You could maybe put some back there and expect solid production, like with Tremaine Edwards. Was it Tremaine Terrell Edwards? I forget which one. They look twins. The safety coming over from the Steelers, the former first-round pick, who's a solid guy, has 5 picks in his career, and CJ doesn't want better, have 6 in 1 year. So that just tells you about where you should forecast that. Like I said, I think he'll play solid, but they're not gonna get the transformative unit by way of turnovers that they had last year. So it could be it's gonna be a setback. All right, let's see here. Who else do we have? Isaac Seumalo. So they lose a dependable starter there. And I mean, you could say that the Eagles have, they have every other guy was a Pro Bowler, All Pro, or an alternate for the Pro Bowl on that line. So they also obviously have a lot of talent there, but this could be some a bit of instability. Seumalo wasn't a star per se. I mean, he was very, very, very good, but you could say that he was. He was dependable, and he got better each progressive season. And when he really got entrenched as a starter and moved over from the left side to the right side, this past year he played like lights out. Very few penalties, very strong at holding his gap and protecting Jalen Hurts. So they lose a very effective quality starter over there on the right side, and the replacement you're bringing in a guy who has versatility in Beef Jurgens from Nebraska, his second-round pick to replace Jason Kelsey, who didn't retire. He re-upped this season for a 1-year, $14 million deal. And he maybe gives you, solid starts, but he's essentially a rookie there. I mean, he didn't have a cross-train in the offseason, so you could, he could be the weak point in that line. We don't know. He's green. He didn't get any. He got snaps in garbage time, but no quality snaps. So that might be a big ask, asking him to take over from that position and slide right in there without any hiccups. So we'll see what they get. It could be solid, but it also could be on the more average end. So we'll just have to see. But he's also second. It's just a second-year player, so could be some mental lapses, some mistakes made there. We shall see. TJ Edwards, a very solid linebacker, slow, but he was dependable. Got better each progressive season in his 4 seasons with the Eagles, and led them in tackles, 150 plus tackles, and was offered a 3-year, $19.5 million contract by the Bears, and they snapped him up. And they're losing a lot of experience there. He had the green dot on his helmet. He made the calls for them. Was always majority of the time in position to hold the fort down there. The scheme held him back a little bit, but he was by far in a way the best linebacker that we had last year, and one of the best linebackers that we've had in several seasons. So that is an L there. I don't know who they slot in for him. Do they slot in the guy they picked in the 3rd round last year, Nakobe Dean, or is Nicholas Morrow going to take up that mantle? But it's going to be a downgrade. Instinctive guy, very fast playing speed. He ran like a 4.9 or 4.8, but it didn't show on tape because he knew where to go. He read his keys. He could diagnose with the best of them, and he's rated like the 5th or 6th best linebacker, off the ball linebacker in the league last year. So you gotta believe this weakens that Eagles defense further. With all the other aforementioned losses that we just talked about. But, I don't know. That linebacking core is going to be worse than last year. So, are they going to be able to mitigate these losses with a weaker front 4, which turn a weaker front 7 and a weaker back end on the effect that you lost both starting safeties and you're losing both starting linebackers. It's at some point the tape is not going to be able to cover the attrition, the holes that are being poked in that roster, and the water could just come spilling out. All right, Miles Sanders, the Pro Bowl running back, rushed for 1,269 yards, 11 TDs, 259 rushes. So I mean, like in an offense that, I mean, they run the ball, but traditionally, it's not the way that most teams do it because their quarterback is a heavy part of that, having 700 yards, over 100 carries. I think either 99 or 100 or over 100. But high clip rate, and he's a big part of your running offense. The machine back there, and huge beneficiary of that was Miles Sanders, but his 4.9 yard average tells you all you need to know. He was explosive. Wasn't used in the past game. Had like 60 receptions, 60 receiving yards with like 12 receptions. So they didn't use him in that facet. He really shown in his rookie year, 50 receptions, 500 yards, I think 3 or 4 touchdowns. So I don't get what happened in between that that first year and year 4 here, but I mean, your guess is as good as mine. They didn't trust him. They didn't really develop him in that regard. And just like I said, just didn't give him a flyer by way of a chance to show what he could do in the receiving game and be a further difference maker. That being said, you don't just slot in another guy, a Pro Bowl guy, even if you bring in a rookie. I mean, I would say the only thing that it could do would equalize it out would be bringing a supremely talented guy, thought of in the cloud of, in the vein of being a generational talent, Bijan Robinson. That would mitigate your loss and potentially add, but that's still asking a lot of a rookie. He still would be a first year, getting his feet wet in a bigger league, and he have a lot to learn. He needs to work on his pass pro. But that being said, Rashard Penny, he's replacing him, and also they're slated to go by committee as is. Penny, hurt guy. Gainwell, third down guy. What's his name? Boston Scott, also a guy that is a backup, and he was receiving less carries and have less impact than Gainwell, who's coming off the bench. So I mean, you're counting on this some of your pieces being as great as the guy that just exited the building, and right now it just isn't match up on paper because the guy Penny, extremely talented but hurt, played in 41 games, has missed 42 over the course of his career, which just tells you all you need to know. Just that's not dependable, injury prone. You can fairly slap that label on him. Yeah, I mean, like we'll see what they get, but history says that guy, Rashard Penny, former first-round pick of the Seattle Seahawks, doesn't even finish the season, and then you're left with Gainwell and then Boston Scott, which leaves you in a horrendous position if you don't go out there and get a guy like Bijan, which history also says that they don't go and make that move. Marcus Epps, he was a full-time starter. Didn't play as bad as they detailed, as they labeled him as steady guy, solid guy back there, but he was the weak link of the defense. He came up and whiffed on that Christian McCaffrey tackle in the NFC Championship game, which allowed him to hurdle him and put him in position to make moves on Javon Hargrave and C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Make them run into each other, and then skirt into the end zone to score a touchdown. So he wasn't the best, wasn't the worst. But also you're losing a dependable guy. Who are you gonna have come in and replace him? Could be Reed Blankenship, could be someone else. You could say maybe they're equal, but losing that starting experience and a guy who didn't make too many mistakes back there. He did make his fair share, but like I said, he was very steady, very dependable, and losing a starting player, you have to replace that, it really tests your your roster, your depth, and your scouting abilities and all those things. So not a star and not a shiny toy back there, but definitely one that's gonna be missed when you're looking at maybe someone else getting burned back there. All right, Kazir White went over to the Cardinals. He was a very solid player. Like I said, the scheme as well as with Edwards didn't put him in a lot of positions to excel. He for what it was worth, he played. He was gave us a good starting set of linebackers since best we've had in the past several years. Very dependable. He slipped in tight end coverage a bit last year on in some games, but like I said, that's you can peg that on Jonathan Gannon, the coordinator, calling the plays to put the players in position, which he didn't really take advantage of. Kazir White's strong points could blitz him more, but yeah, he did what we asked him to do and then some, and it was very very solid, and yeah, he got injured, but still played to that ankle injury. Solid guy, and other than like I said, with the tight end, he didn't make a lot of middle mistakes, and he really flashed, especially early in the season when we were kind of just other teams were just still trying to figure us out, and then when we just saw we had a simple scheme, whatever, they really took advantage and targeted other people, which made other people put them in bad positions. So he did it, like you said, he did everything he was asked, and it's gonna be tougher for the Eagles to replace him. We'll see how their inexperienced linebacker and their import from the Bears works out, but like I said, you got to say that it's as of now weaker. Gardner Minshew, this is kind of a wash because, you could say that he played poorly. He played well because in the Cowboys game, gave him a chance to win the game, but then also because his mistakes, we also were at a deficit. The Eagles were at a deficit, but you got to say, Marcus Mariota had a game last year when he beat the 49ers. He played spectacularly. He executed a scheme to a pristine level and did everything you wanted to see from him, a quarterback in that system, using most of his talents and balancing out his arm and rushing talent. But that being said, you think maybe in his system, especially, he's a worse fit because Gardner could actually be accurate, even though he even backpedaled and things like that and threw off his back foot. Got like a little skittish, scary in the pocket, but he's a better downfield passer than in Marcus Mariota, and they might struggle with him in there, and if he's not able to shore up his weaknesses, which are deep ball accuracy, then it could put them in a precarious spot if they ever have to rely on him if Jalen has to sit out for some time. Zach Pascal, they're going to miss a guy like this. He did a lot of dirty work for them. Had about 10 receptions, 100-something, 150, 180 yards, 150 yards. Key up that Steelers game if you want to see like him playing his role perfectly, and then it paying off because they, he does dirty work so well that they were sold on him not being a target, and actually targeted him. He had a 40+ yard explosive touchdown, but they're losing him in that blocking ability, and then a receiver that solid, not the fastest, not the strongest, but was very dependable, could be in the right place and not blow his assignments like Quez Watkins, and actually could catch the ball through contact and hold on to it. Yeah, unselfish. So that's a big loss for them, even though he was like a fourth string receiver. Leaves us thin there. Andre Dillard, key backup last year. First round pick, didn't really excel. Wrong timing because Jason Peters, Jordan Mailata hit it out and hit the ground running and just never relinquished his hold on that starting job. So Andre Dillard, man, he came and played some guard for us when Landon Dickerson went out. Very talented guy, which is why the Tennessee Titans signed him to that 3-year, $29 million deal. Just short of 30, $10 million a year average. Could have gotten that, but they're gonna miss that kind of depth this year, and they don't have depth behind him. behind the starters right now. So that is a key flaw with this roster right now. They're gonna need to replenish that talent, and having a guy like Dillard, he's definitely gonna be missed because the injury luck balanced out. Not balanced. It was unbalanced because they were conveniently lucky with them not having to miss a lot of starters, a lot of starts, and just from start to finish of the season. That's not going to happen again. Balance of probabilities, it's going to lean, seesaw the other way because you had such good luck this past year. All right, players retained. Jason Kelsey, but he's a year older. Yes, he was All-Pro last season, but you could say that Creed Humphrey edged him out as the best center in the league last year. And he's taken up a huge piece of the cap, $14.25 million, and he's going to retire after this year. So it's diminishing returns as far as being able to add something after this year. Great to have him in place for this year, but does he take a step back as well this year? James Bradbury, same case. He's going to be turning 30 later this year, I think in the summer, and great playing opposite of Slay, but is he really a number one corner? What is he without Slay? Yes, he was very solid for the Giants. The Eagles were grateful to have him last year, but does he get too grabby? Like he did in the Super Bowl, and cause them to have a huge penalty running out further time on the clock, giving them put him in the worst position to have that time on that final drive. Is that who he was, or was that just a minor mistake made in prime time? So we will see this year because he's going to be a year older, and also Slay's going to be a year older. So we will see how they fare. Fletcher Cox also, you look at his grades against the run, keep getting progressively worse. Brought a player back. He had made $14 million the previous year, $10 million. You could say that was unwarranted. Could have tried to replace him with someone else and put dollars. It's to say they swung a trade for Jeffrey Simmons, plug him in there, give him some of that money. That could have been smarter, because he, like I said, his returns are decreasing with every year. All time great, but that's in the past. From 2014 to 2019, those 92 average PFF grades, those are gone. He's slipping with each and every year, and what is he really going to bring this year? He's going to be playing maybe 30-40% of the plays. You really want to give that kind of money to a player in a rotation like that? Brandon Graham, same case. Had a career year last year coming off the Achilles injury. That's great, but he's 35. How much are you really going to get out of a 35-year-old DN who has somewhat of an injury history, and he's going to be a year older, that's more mileage. He's going to be less fresh. He's not going to repeat on that number of sacks, and it's when is he going to hit the wall? At some point, you want to always do what Belichick says: let a player go a year early rather than a year too late. All right, Boston Scott as well. Like, he's a good backup. He's a good guy to have in your stable, but he's not a starting guy. Why we put such a premium on bringing him back? He didn't do much as a receiver last year, even though he's shown in the past that he could, but only 4 yards a carry, that's not spectacular. That's solid to the league bare minimum acceptable. So this guy could also be diminishing returns, and running back is a position that ages far faster than any other. Brett Toth, a depth guy. We talked about Marcus Mariota earlier. Is he really a good fit with his system as far as the accuracy has to clear up? We talked about Rashad Penny earlier. Can he stay healthy? Look at Nicholas Morrow. Great, he's an ascending talent, but the guy's small. Can he really hold up? Can he really be counted on? And he's joining another team. Yes, he has solid cover skills as well, but he doesn't really come down with the ball. So that's going to diminish on the turnovers. Terrell Edmonds, the guy plays, in the box very well, but is he, can he be a free range safety? His career thus far says no, and is he going to be able to cover ground like C.J. Gardner-Johnson? The answer is no. So how are they going to shore that up? And are they going to pair him with someone who has more range, or are they going to depend on ask him to primarily play on the box close to the line of scrimmage where it's his forte, his wheelhouse. The guy's faster. He's fast and big. He brings size. He's a sure tackler, but can he get the job done in space? Greedy Williams fell out of favor in Cleveland. Has size, has speed, but he's a depth piece. We're gonna count on him for more. Not sure he can come through with that. Justin Evans, hurt, hasn't been able to show himself. Talented guy, drafted in the second round by the Buccaneers, but what does he really have to give to this roster? So those are the evaluations. And like I said, I'm just trying to give it. If they give them a B, I don't actually believe all of what I said, but I'm giving you the pure negatives, the pure double takes, so that you can't say that I was a friend of the state. I'm being the enemy today. But let's get into some other news. So let's go around the league. There are a couple signings that were notable. This guy, DeMarvion Overshawn, brought in by several teams, so he's wanted. Gridger Hill, borderline starter, signed by the Carolina Panthers. He has familiarity with Frank Wright. Getting along in this video. So Trevor Siemian is visiting the Bengals. Backup, obviously, there. Damian Amendola signing with the Raiders as a coach. Good for them. And Brian Hoyer bringing another quarterback to back up Jimmy Garoppolo there in Vegas. So, he can give you quality starts if you need it. So, good signing by them. Okay, the Steelers really set their safeties here. So, they let Terrell Edmonds go. And a lot of swaps here, for guys that maybe are not the most talented. Ken O'Neal, there's a 2-year contract. The former Bucks safety. Falcons safety, as well as he played linebacker with the Dallas Cowboys for a year. And DeMonte Casey also played with the Cowboys and the 49ers, not the 49ers, but the Falcons. So 2 former Falcons. He had that 1 year where he had like 6 picks, but hasn't approached that since. But still like a talented guy, he could be an average to solid starter. And that's it for that. And we're gonna get to one more thing around the league. John Elway is out with the Broncos at the moment, and who knows if they re-sign him, but his contract has expired, so maybe they turn over a new leaf there. Tired of his spotty draft record, and it's a tough thing being a GM. You get 3 to 5 years. He got I think maybe 5. So or maybe longer. I'm sure they're thankful for his contributions, but he's out of there. Austin Eckler making do with the fact that he might have to stay with the LA Chargers. He's more valuable there than he is anywhere else, but he wants to get paid, and they opened up. They gave him the okay to seek a trade. Nobody was biting. He's an older guy, late 20s, but smaller guy, compact, but supreme receiving threat and a very solid runner, but just not a market for him at this point. And that's going to be it for today. Tomorrow, we're probably going to get into those draft evaluations, player comps, and all the things. But this is a long video. You're not even watching, though. It's all good. Because as always, it's fly, Eagles, fly. And let's mother go. Like, comment, share, and subscribe Thanks for watching. Check me out at Cintron, Cintron Anime, Cintron Life, or Cintron Laughs, or other social media.